What if the very person you sacrificed everything for, worked overtime for, skipped vacations for, saved every dollar for, is the exact reason your retirement falls apart? The most painful financial crisis in America today is not happening on Wall Street, it is happening at the kitchen table, between parents and their adult children. Stay until the end, because what I am about to reveal is the uncomfortable truth that every loving parent needs to hear before it is too late to save their retirement. Let me paint you a picture that is happening in millions of American homes right now. A couple in their early 60s has spent their entire lives doing everything right. They worked hard for 35 years. They sacrificed luxuries. They skipped expensive vacations. They drove older cars. They cooked at home instead of eating out. They saved diligently, contributed to their 401k every single month, and they finally, after decades of discipline, built a retirement nest egg they were proud of. They were so close to the finish line. Freedom was finally within reach. And then their adult son lost his job. Or their daughter went through a painful divorce. Or their kid graduated college and moved back home. Or their grandchildren needed school fees that their own parents simply could not afford. And just like that, slowly and quietly, that retirement nest egg started shrinking. First it was a small loan, just to help them get back on their feet. Then it was covering rent for a few months. Then it was buying a car so their child could get to job interviews. Then it was one emergency after another, each one completely real, each one completely heartbreaking, and each one completely impossible to say no to when it is your own flesh and blood standing in front of you asking for help. This is not a story about bad parents. This is not a story about irresponsible children. This is a story about love, and how love, without boundaries, can silently and completely destroy the financial future you spent a lifetime building. The data that will disturb you. Now I know what some of you are thinking right now. You are thinking, okay, this is a sad story, but surely this is not that common. Surely most parents are able to help their kids without seriously damaging their own retirement. Surely the people who end up in real financial trouble because of their children are a small minority. I completely understand that reaction. But I need you to sit with these numbers for a moment, because the data tells a story that is far more widespread and far more alarming than most people want to believe. According to a study by Merrill Lynch and Age Wave, nearly 80% of parents provide some form of financial support to their adult children. Not 20%. Not 30%. Nearly 80%. That means if you put 5 parents in a room, 4 of them are currently giving money to their grown kids. And we are not talking about small amounts here. The same study found that American parents spend an average of $500 billion per year supporting their adult children. $500 billion. That is more than Americans contribute to their own retirement accounts every single year. Let that sink in completely. Parents across America are collectively putting more money into their adult children than into their own future financial security. The people who are supposed to be the most financially prepared generation in the room are quietly bleeding themselves dry trying to keep their kids afloat. The retirement savings impact. And the damage to retirement savings is devastating and measurable. A survey by creditcards.com found that 68% of parents who financially support their adult children say it has negatively impacted their own financial health. More than half reported that helping their kids caused them to delay their own retirement. Nearly 1/3 said they had to dip directly into their retirement savings accounts to fund their children's needs. And perhaps most heartbreaking of all, a significant percentage said they took on personal debt, including credit card debt and personal loans, to help their adult children, debt that they are now carrying into their retirement years with no clear plan to pay it off. Think about what that actually means in real numbers. If a parent withdraws just $50,000 from their 401k at age 58 to help an adult child, and that money would have continued growing at 7% annually for another 7 years until retirement, that single withdrawal does not just cost them $50,000. It costs them over $80,000 in lost growth. And if they pay the early withdrawal penalty and taxes on top of that, the real cost of that one decision could easily exceed $95,000. Nearly $100,000, gone from retirement, because of one moment of financial generosity that felt completely impossible to refuse. The psychology behind the problem. So why do parents keep doing this? Why do intelligent, financially aware adults keep making decisions that they know are hurting their own future? The answer is not stupidity. The answer is not weakness. The answer is something far more powerful than logic or financial planning, and that thing is parental love. Because when your own child is struggling in front of you, every financial rule you have ever learned completely disappears. Your brain stops thinking like an investor and starts thinking like a parent. And those are two completely different operating systems. Psychologists call this parental guilt financing, where parents make financial decisions based on emotional guilt rather than rational planning. You see your child struggling and your brain immediately says, "I could fix this right now. I have the money." What kind of parent lets their child suffer when they have the ability to help? And that thought is so powerful, so instinctive, so deeply human that almost no amount of financial knowledge can override it in the moment. The 3 guilt traps. There are 3 specific emotional traps that pull parents into this cycle repeatedly. The first is the rescue trap, where parents see every problem their adult child faces as an emergency that requires immediate financial intervention. The second is the comparison trap, where parents look at other families and feel pressure to match what other parents are providing for their kids. The third and most dangerous is the legacy trap, where parents convince themselves that giving money to their children now is simply passing on their legacy early, without realizing they are destroying the very financial security that would have made them independent and dignified in their final years. When helping becomes hurting. There is a very thin and very dangerous line between being a supportive parent and being a parent who is financially destroying their own retirement. And the terrifying thing about that line is that most parents cross it without ever realizing it. It does not happen in one dramatic moment. It does not happen with one giant withdrawal. It happens slowly, quietly, and gradually, one small financial decision at a time, until one day you sit down and look at your retirement account and realize that years of savings have silently disappeared into a situation that never actually got better no matter how much money you poured into it. So how do you know if you have already crossed that line? How do you know if your financial generosity toward your children has moved from healthy support into dangerous territory? There are very specific warning signs that financial advisors see again and again in parents who are unknowingly bankrupting their own retirement. And if even 2 or 3 of these apply to your situation right now, you need to take this extremely seriously. The warning signs. The first warning sign is that you have helped the same child with the same type of problem more than twice. Once is an emergency. Twice is a pattern. 3 times means your money is enabling a situation rather than solving it. The second warning sign is that you have stopped contributing to your own retirement account, even temporarily, to free up money for your children. Every single month you skip your retirement contribution is a month of compound growth you will never recover. The third warning sign is that your adult child has no deadline or repayment plan attached to the money you gave them. If there was no conversation about when or how they will become financially independent, then what you gave was not a loan and not temporary help, it was the beginning of a permanent financial arrangement that will continue indefinitely. The fourth and most serious warning sign is that you feel afraid or uncomfortable bringing up money with your own child. When financial fear enters the parent-child relationship, it means the dynamic has already shifted into deeply unhealthy territory that will only get more expensive and more emotionally damaging with time. The stories nobody talks about. Sometimes numbers and statistics are not enough. Sometimes you need to hear real stories from real people to truly understand the weight of what we are talking about. Because this is not an abstract financial problem. This is happening to real families, real parents, real people who loved their children deeply and paid an enormous price for it. These are composite stories based on real financial counseling cases, and I promise you, at least one of them is going to feel uncomfortably familiar. Meet Carol. Carol is 64 years old and spent 30 years as a school teacher. She saved consistently her entire career and had built a respectable $380,000 retirement fund by her early 60s. Her son went through a painful divorce at 38 and moved back home with his 2 kids. Carol told herself it was temporary. She covered his rent, his groceries, his car insurance, and his children's school supplies for 3 years. She never charged him $1. Today Carol is 64 with $190,000 left in her retirement account. She cannot retire. She is still teaching. And her son is still living at home with no clear timeline for leaving. The second story. Now meet Robert. Robert is 67 years old, a former engineer who retired comfortably at 63 with $820,000 saved. His daughter was a talented entrepreneur who kept launching businesses that kept failing. Each time she came to Robert with a new idea, a new plan, a new reason why this time would be different. Robert funded 4 separate business ventures over 6 years. He told himself he was investing in his daughter's future. He told himself the money would come back. Today Robert has $310,000 left. He has quietly sold his house and moved into a smaller apartment. His daughter's latest business is already showing signs of struggle again. And Robert, at 67 years old, is seriously considering going back to work because the retirement he spent decades building has been almost completely dismantled by a cycle of financial support that he simply did not have the heart to stop. These stories are not rare. These stories are not extreme. These stories are happening in neighborhoods across America every single day. And the parents in these stories are not foolish people. They are loving people. They are generous people. They are people who simply never drew a line, and paid everything they had because of it. The balance every parent needs. So here is the question every parent is asking right now. How do I help my children without destroying my own financial future? Because cutting your kids off completely is not the answer. That is not love and that is not realistic. But continuing without boundaries is not the answer either. The real answer lives somewhere in the middle, and it requires having some of the most honest and uncomfortable conversations you will ever have in your life. The first rule that every financial advisor agrees on is this: you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you destroy your retirement trying to support your children, you will eventually become financially dependent on those same children. And that is a burden on them that is far heavier than any financial help you could have given them today. The most loving thing you can do for your children's future is to protect your own financial security first. The 3 boundaries that protect everything. There are 3 boundaries that financial experts recommend every parent must establish. First, never give what you cannot afford to lose. If the money you are giving your child would hurt your retirement if it never came back, do not give it. Give only what you can genuinely afford to gift with zero expectation of return. Second, always attach a timeline. Any financial help you provide must come with a clear and specific end date. Not a vague, until you get back on your feet, but a real calendar date after which the support stops completely. Third, protect your retirement contributions above everything else. No matter what financial pressure you are facing, your monthly retirement contribution is non-negotiable. It comes out first, automatically, before any family financial decisions are made. The truth every parent must hear. Here is the most important thing I want to leave with you today. Loving your children and protecting your retirement are not 2 opposing choices. They are actually the same choice. Because the parent who arrives at retirement broke, dependent, and financially devastated is not a burden lifted from their children, they are a burden added to them. Every dollar you fail to save for yourself is a dollar your children will eventually have to provide for you. The sacrifice you made for them today becomes their sacrifice for you tomorrow. You spent decades working, saving, and sacrificing to build a future where nobody has to worry about you. Do not give that away. Not out of guilt. Not out of love. Not out of fear of disappointing someone who is an adult and is fully capable of building their own financial life with the right boundaries and the right encouragement from you. Your retirement is not selfish. It is necessary. Protect it like your life depends on it, because in your final years, it absolutely does. If this video opened your eyes in any way, please hit that like button and subscribe for more honest personal finance conversations every single week. And drop a comment below. Are you currently supporting an adult child financially? Let's talk about it. See you in the next one.